Now it's time to talk to Blade Offshore, and here with me is John Swingler, who is a drilling specialist, and also Neil McNaughton, a marine engineer. Now, basically, can you tell me, John, first of all, what does your company do?
We're an offshore consultancy, mainly involved in marine engineering for the drilling industry in deep water operations. That's primarily what we do.
Now, can you outline briefly what your new technology is and what it offers to the UK and the global market?
About 2 years ago, we saw a market in the renewables industry where the device developers were into research and development looking at the tidal turbines, but they didn't really have a method of installation, and they weren't sort of very experienced at sort of working within the high current and subsea environments, and we thought we could bring some knowledge from the oil and gas industry and try and derive a solution for this. And on the basis of that, we sort of looked at an integrated solution where we will have a subsea remote drilling concept, which can actually take everything from drilling, grouting and control subsea, and we can install the host devices to the seabed.
Now, you do deal in very harsh and hostile subsea environments, don't you? It's a very difficult job what you're doing. How do you overcome this?
It's a massive undertaking to get the subsea technology correct, because the wind technology, if you put a wind turbine up and it breaks down, you deploy a crew to fix it. The subsea technology, you don't. You have to go and recover it. You know, you're talking about £1 million to go recover it, fix it, put it back in the water. It's not cost effective. That machine has to go into the water and produce reliable electricity for 5 years minimum, and that's where the technology is struggling to make that technology, get it under the water and leave it there for 5 years in an extremely harsh environment. You know, it's like putting a spacecraft into space. It's a similar requirement. It has to be very reliable.
So are you able to offer risk management and cost benefits to clients in these cost-conscious times?
Only by virtue of sort of cost effectiveness at the moment. We sort of know where we're going, and we sort of know what we want to do for the industry, and we know what the industry requires. And then sort of outside of that, we've got to sort of utilise best industry sort of practices and best business practices within that sort of model to sort of manage the risk and to sort of mitigate both risk and cost to the end client. And really at the moment, because it's new technology, some of the questions are, I would say, rather unqualified, because we actually can't qualify some of the material costs until such time as the detailed design is complete. We've actually conquered some of the technical problems, and then we sort of know where we're going from there.
So who is more going for the renewables then?
At the moment, there's a lot of interest, and there's a lot of action around sort of Europe. If we look at France and Norway, sort of north of Scotland, south of England, Canada. We know for a fact the Koreans are sort of involved there, sort of doing their own stuff. Again, they've got their own installation problems, same environmental challenges. So that kind of opens up the business opportunities for us as an installer, and again an exporter of sort of UK skills on a global basis.
The UK government's edict of 20% renewable energy by the year 2020 is also pushing the technology along, but not in the subsea renewables as yet. And if we're to meet the government's targets by 2020, we need to start installation of the subsea devices quite soon, otherwise we're going to get well behind by 2020.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at what the government or the Crown Estate have released out of a possible sort of general figure, we're talking of potentially needing to install 2 turbines every week from
now
until 2020, and at the moment it really hasn't started, you know. The device developers are still testing prototypes. They're still waiting for sort of good news there. There's challenges from the investment side and sort of field development, and really there's an awful lot needs to happen now rather than sort of later.
So we're still at the stage of testing prototypes. There isn't a device that everyone agrees is a good product.
No, there's
No,
several
there's-
prototypes
yeah.
around the world, particularly in the UK off Scotland, that are actually in development. You know, you have to put this device in the water and run it for a year to get the data you need to further develop it. So that's ongoing at the moment, but there isn't a commercially viable proposition at the moment for the turbines. Nobody has said, okay, our turbine is fully developed and we're ready to sell it.
Yeah.
That's not happened yet because the development phase is not complete yet.
And from our side, the exciting part is the fact that there's maybe around about over 200 device developers, and they all want to do something, but again, their success is dependent upon sort of funding and their own research and development and so on, like, you know. But we've actually got the opportunity to present a standard installation method to the industry, which would be sort of cost effective across the whole spectrum.
Do you feel then that the UK is going to meet its low carbon targets?
If we get pushed ahead now, we need to act now. You know, the investment in the technology needs to happen now. People are being held back through a lack of investment, and we're not going to meet the 2020 targets unless investment is forthcoming quite soon.
And maybe a change in political will. I think that'll definitely help a lot.
Well, John Swindler and Neil McNaughton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.